wide receivers is certainly the attention grabbing group of the offense, and you can't have a Auburn conversation without Cam Coleman and or Eric Singleton coming up. Certainly, before we even acknowledge that, I think we need to acknowledge that as we sit here today, there was an unfortunate event when Malcolm Simmons was involved in, and he is this moment is up in the air. I checked the roster yesterday, I think, and he was still on it. And this is a Sunday evening. That could change at any moment. I don't know what's going on there. And I'm not really here to speculate on what's going to happen. I think it's a little inappropriate at times for the benefit of the victim and for him, the alleged victim and the alleged perpetrator. I think we need to make sure that we just take a step back, let the process play out, and go from there. But certainly that does drastically change things, I think, a lot more than people are aware of for the wide receiver room, because people were talking, Singleton and Cam Coleman. My answer to them was, I really think it's primarily Coleman and Simmons first as the sure thing, because they've already proven it in the Gus. Whoa. That was a Freudian slip. That's a wishful thinking in the Hugh Freeze system. So, anyway, we'll put that to the side. Just wanted to acknowledge Malcolm Simmons not here at this moment, and I think that's very much up in the air. What do you think? Is this combo, Eric Singleton, Cam Coleman, going to live up to the hype?
Well, one, yes, I think it will, and two, I don't think it's just a combo. I really think, like we talked about last week in media days, Horatio Fields is a guy that people aren't talking about. Perry Thompson, for all the laud and gush that we all gave Perry Thompson during his recruiting time, has seemingly been forgotten and not talked about as much. Bryce Kane in the same sentence. I think you could add him there. I think that we're just kind of forgetting those guys, even though that they were all very wanted and maybe didn't get to the playing time they wanted as last year. Oh, because a draft pick, Keandre Lambert-Smith, was there, or Cam Coleman, and like you said, Malcolm Simmons kind of stole some spotlight. So I certainly think that even without Malcolm Simmons, if he's not a part of Auburn's team this fall, there's tons of production that can come from the group. I think we'll get more clarity on Malcolm Simmons this week as practice starts and Hugh Freeze addresses the media. Maybe we'll find out something then. Regardless, I think Auburn's wide receiver room, there's a reason it's been talked about as one of the highest rated in the country, not just the SEC, in the country. Even still, for all that we've talked about with Eric Singleton, I feel like there's still some people who are just not as high on him, maybe because it was at Georgia Tech and an ACC that was down last year, and where guys weren't seen, and Georgia Tech's kind of a weird offense run. I think Eric Singleton is certainly one of the best receivers in the country, and I think you can find that across a lot of different media outlets and avenues of people who watched him play last year. In this type of offense, he should be all the better too. So this group has just a very, very high ceiling in taking a next step for Cam Coleman and the rest of the I almost said never mind. Rest of the freshman group. And on top of these transfers coming in that have experienced other places and added production, I think it's got all the potential in the world for this group to do something really special. And I think they're a huge reason why Jackson Arnold came over to Auburn. I really do.
Yeah. And Sam Turner's also in there. The Smith brothers are here too. There's other names that we're not even mentioning here because it's obviously a very large group, as wide receivers tend to be. I'm going to be honest with you, though, and you kind of mentioned that some people maybe haven't, I want to say, I'm just doing this a lot this show, quote unquote, bought into Eric Singleton. I find myself a little bit on that camp only because I don't like setting these lofty expectations for people until there's actually some validity. But if you'll go back and watch the tape about Cam Coleman last year, I said the same thing. And there was a little bit of struggle at times for Cam until he kind of, as coach told him, learned how to practice, work through some injuries. And then we saw it's real, but it just took some time. I think the same approach, just because Keandre Lambert-Smith worked out so well last year, folks, doesn't mean it's going to transfer over here. I'm not trying to cast doubt on Singleton, more so just let's hold the phone here on this thing. I think right now you look to Cam Coleman, you look to some of these guys that have been here for a while, and let's see how we can work him in. And if he is as good as advertised, that's going to come out quick and shut people like me up. But once again, I want to be very clear. I'm not trying to say he's not going to be good. I'm just waving a caution flag until we see some more context and things like that.